Hey guys, been a while since my last build video and I finally have a build worth talking about again, and this is Vaal Blade Vortex, pure Vaal Blade Vortex. Now this build was very questionable as I was leveling, but until I made final few changes it didn't really feel that great. So if you decide to copy this build or get inspired, know that there are a few things that you kind of need to make this work better. Now it has kind of few moving pieces, and I guess the most conditional is this is a relic warrior with the black cane node and summoning phantasms by consuming corpses. Now the way you consume corpses and you create corpses is up to you. The way I am doing is when clearing it's everything automated. But for single target I am using Arcanist brand with high quality. I also have Ashes of the Star. So Arcanist brand with greater spell cascade and then desecrate and then volatile dead of seating. This is very important, greater spell cascade and volatile dead of seating. Which by the way, volatile dead of seating is not very cheap, it's over 200 years. In addition to that, this is also using new Pact skill, Pact of K'Tash, and also using pretty expensive boon belt, which is right now about 15 divine, so it's not that expensive. Vaal Blade Vortex I picked because it moves. Sadly, there is no way to make it move any faster, but it moves between enemies, kind of chases down almost like Dancing Dervish. However, the damage is like really nice, and the way you boost its damage is not really by levels. Levels actually barely give damage, probably because you're already getting so much flare damage from the phantasms. Right now I have 60 phantasms. Just today I got level 21 phantasm support. Before then I was using level 20, which limited me I believe to 57 phantasms rather than 60 phantasms. At 60 phantasms you're getting something like 7000 flat average damage, which is kind of nuts. So it's getting a lot of damage, so you don't need plus levels. Ashes of the Star is really nice because quality on Blade Vortex boosts its hit rate. Like, this isn't particularly tanky build, so you do need to kind of stay away from danger, but even against bosses it somehow works pretty well. I do have physical leech and devour support for clearing, consumes corpses so it automatically ramps up phantasms. And you also do need a Blessed Rebirth to make phantasms unkillable for 4 seconds. That's like super important as well. Until then it doesn't feel good. So to kind of reiterate the most important parts: Blessed Rebirth for phantasms, Relic Warrior to get Phantasmal Might, that way you don't need Black Cane, Soul Rest, and you do need to socket as summon phantasmal support inside it. Links don't really matter, but I do have moderation so that they last longer. There is a congregation support which also gives more minions, and then the Dark Monarch doubles the minions. Then Pact of K'Tash, you use it before every Vaal Blade Vortex. And you can pretty much spam it. The limit of how fast you can use Vaal Blade Vortex is the limit of Pact of K'Tash cooldown. So I am even using Second Wind. It just gives +1 cooldown use. With enough levels it doesn't have a reduced cooldown recovery rate. Ideally you would also socket cooldown recovery support. I didn't really bother with that because it's like, what, 30% CDR or a bit more. And then you can just use Vaal Blade Vortex and you regain souls. There is something weird about it. Sometimes I run out of souls. I'm not entirely sure what happens. Do I get stunned when I try to cast it and then mess up, or do I run into cooldown issues when I use the back skill? But it's not really a big problem. You just don't spam it non-stop. Now the boon belt, it turns afflictions that you get from the Pact of K'Tash into positive things. So there is no way to automate it with automation because it's not an instant skill, so you cannot link another pack skill with automation. But you could do some kind of shenanigans with cast when damage taken or some other ways. Pretty much cast when damage taken is kind of the only thing. So there's no good way to automate pact skills, but you can see you can stack a few of them, and each give different benefits like increased damage, increased crit chance, recovery, or reduced damage taken, so they can be pretty useful. Almost forgot to mention, this is also using ultimatum class. I'm not entirely sure if the tooltip in game is not correct, because this thing, Priest of Kopek, Vaal skills require 40% increased souls per use, and then Vaal skills deal 1% more damage per soul required, and you get 1 extra use, and it costs, I believe, 42 souls. Yeah, but in game, when I picked this up, it did not increase my tooltip DPS, so I'm not sure if it's actually working or not. Maybe just a text display issue and it's not working. It is a Vaal skill which should get more damage per soul required, and it's not conditional. It requires souls, the requirement doesn't change, so why is it not displaying it? I'm not sure if it's a bug in game, like a tooltip, or does it actually not give damage, but it does feel like it is doing really good damage, so it probably is just a tooltip visual bug. Another quick thing that I need to mention is that these nodes increase cost efficiency. In Path of Building, it does lower the Vaal skill soul cost, but in game it doesn't. In Path of Building it does affect it, but in game it doesn't. In game I guess it would be safe to pick these up, but again, I'm not sure where is the bug. Is it PUB bug or is it in-game bug? Should it affect the cost? Because it is still cost efficiency, it costs souls, maybe just doesn't cost souls but requires souls. I'm not sure how it works. Now another thing, if you get increased skill effect duration for Vaal Blade Vortex to last longer, you're also gonna increase the soul gain prevention, but that doesn't really matter when using Pact of K'Tash skill. It does matter if you mess up and you run out of souls and you are locked into soul gain prevention, and at the start of the map you kind of need to either wait. You are getting 2 souls per second because I have Runegraft, which gives 1 soul, and then this mini node also gives 1 soul per second. So at the start of the map you either need to wait, annoying, no one wants to wait, or you have to use normal Blade Vortex, which does cost quite a bit of mana, but you also need to create corpses. So usually I just drop Arcanist Brand, maybe even few of them, wait until it starts proccing and creating phantasms, and then the damage becomes high enough that even normal Blade Vortex just kills enemies very quickly. And then with a few more kills you can start just relying on Vaal Blade Vortex. Now one thing I'm not entirely sure if it's necessary, I did anoint Undertaker, which allows Desecrate and Unearth to have +2 to maximum corpses. I'm not entirely sure if it helps or not, but it does give increased damage and gives me more regen, so it's useful either way. In most cases I was not gem swapping because Greater Devour is useless against bosses that do not spawn any extra monsters, so you would swap this to ideally Concentrated Effect. I don't really want to use Concentrated Effect, so while I was using Cruelty, the highest damage would be Concentrated Effect. In that case you would have almost 14 million DPS with this setup, and I very much wanted to reach 100% crit chance for consistency, and I am not using Assassin's Mark. Now one of the reasons why I even started this build, because I haven't played Vaal skills in a long time, and this league Blade Vortex and other physical spells got buffed, their crit chance got buffed, so now we start with 10% base crit chance, so it's much easier to reach 100% crit chance. I do have almost capped block, I do have attack block cap, but spell block isn't capped, and I do have almost capped spell suppression. But this is level 94, I could literally just take one more node here and I would have capped spell suppression. By the way, spell suppression is kind of easy to cap because this node gives 25%, just like that, and you do recover 200 flat life when you suppress spell damage. As for the jewels, intelligence was an issue, and you may need to pick up intelligence here and here early on until you manage your intelligence. Since I'm getting so much flat damage, there's no reason to use Hypnotic Eyes. Just go with the increased damage, crit multiplier, spell damage while wielding a staff, physical damage, area damage, and then life and intelligence. I am using Light of Meaning just to get extra crit chance, and you do need quite a bit of mana. When you use Arcanist Brand, it starts consuming mana quite a bit, and previously I was using Offering. For some reason in my brain, Offering changed long ago. It used to consume more corpses, now it only consumes up to 5 corpses. Offering is really not ideal, and the best is Volatile of Seating because it consumes up to 10 corpses with 1 cast. Oh, by the way, I'm even using enhanced level 3 support for the Blade Vortex because it simply just gives so much damage by increasing the hit rate. And there aren't that many good supports for Blade Vortex that isn't converted into elemental. There's Brutality, there's Cruelty, which isn't the highest damage support, then Concentrated Effect, which makes it smaller, which you don't want for clearing anyway. And then crit damage, obviously. Running power charge on crit, but I was also playing with the Bladefall of Tratus, at least while leveling. You could sustain Bladefall of Tratus, link it with like power charge on crit. It doesn't really do that great damage, but it was enough while leveling going through campaign. But then you would definitely have more mana issues. So yeah, I think that covers it all. I will leave Path of Building import code with the description. The next build I decided to go with another Vaal build, and it's gonna be Vaal Burning Arrow, which turns out you can repeat it with Lionized Glare, or if you are duelist you can get Fatal Flourish jewels, which are actually kind of cheap right now. So if you want to get ahead of me and do something with Vaal Burning Arrow, look into those. Lionized Glare can repeat, or Fatal Flourish can also repeat, and Burning Arrow can do quite a lot of damage, and it can shotgun. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. If it doesn't work, I won't make a video about it, but if it does, I will. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one, probably. Bye bye.